Hey everybody, this is Chanchai, and I want to do a video about ProjectVB by Arcade Stick Indonesia, ASI, the makers of Golden Lever. So this is a really exciting project, and it's not just simply another all-button controller, but it is an awesome all-button controller. I'm still a big fan of levers and buttons, but I'm still a fan of levers, and I don't see that changing. However, I do enjoy playing on all-button controllers, and I think Arcade Stick Indonesia has really thrown the hat in the ring in terms of a dedicated all-button controller setup. A case, and so we're going to go over that, but that's not what this picture is here. This picture is their classic Versus case, my favorite arcade stick enclosure. This and the Victrix, like, I love absolutely a lot for different reasons, but this one is just incredibly proud when I brought it to New York. Really torn that I'm not bringing it to Evo Japan, but I really love playing on it. It plays fantastic on lap and on desk. It is the most customizable arcade controller. It's also very easy to access, easy to swap parts, and it just has features that no other arcade controller case I've used has. So it's amazing, and for most owners, it's pretty much the best one when I talk to a lot of owners of the Versus case. So this is the VS1R, which had quite a few refinements along the way, and Wasus, the owner of Arcade Stick Indonesia, has always made like those upgrades available when he makes them. So as long as it's built on the Versus case foundation, I see him always making that an option if he ever does do any significant upgrades. But this one is just amazing. On the bottom you can see the underside of the controller. It's got the stick pads. Those black pads are amazing. They are the best. They're the best surface on the bottom for having something stay in place, whether it's on a carpet or hard surface. See-through. Yeah, I've already covered this case. It's amazing. So I'm looking at this because I want to talk about their history, right? And then of course, now it is pricey, but it's worth it. But Wasus wanted to make a more affordable option, so he also made the VM6, and the VM6 came out last year and is quite a hit, actually. I've seen a lot of people that the VM6 is where they felt it met their price point threshold, and it gave almost all the features of the Versus case in a more classy box, but it has a very unique look. It's not a straight square case. It's not a typical rectangle, but the handle is also a wonderful touch. For people that like to use the WASD controls or the ASD with a button or with the space bar, it has an iris for that, but it doesn't have the iris for the lever. But it is such a fantastic case. Technically it has two more functional buttons as well on the exterior of the case, but this one, you get an amazing case at a much lower price. So it hits the value sweet spot for a lot of people. You still get those amazing slick pads underneath it, and it's a fantastic case. It doesn't pop off quickly like the Versus case in terms of opening up the panels right away, but everything is accessible and you build it how you like it. It's very customizable, and it's just an amazing case. So I think the VM6 was a big success as far as I can tell, and I saw a lot of people that basically the VM6 was kind of what sold them on Arcade Stick Indonesia, and then I've seen some of those people also end up becoming interested in the Golden Lever as well, because it's amazing on this. And this is a case that will work with pretty much every lever out there, and same thing with the Versus case, of course. So everything the VM6 does, the Versus case does as well, and more. But they are both absolutely amazing, industry leading arcade controllers. So let's talk about ProjectVB. So right now I'm looking at Arcade Stick Indonesia, but I'm gonna actually jump out and look at Wazoos's Twitter, so we can go back down to the history. Sorry for the blurring lights here, blurring screens, but I want to go over this history of this unfortunate incident that happened at their base. But let's go over, looking at the progress of the ProjectVB, or I think versus buttons basically. And here is like the frame with Ken putting it over his head, crown. And this is kind of at least what we see of it here. So you can hear that. And this is a jump start actually. This really jumped forward a lot, because right now we're seeing the WASD Pro, which is the first. I didn't see it until this came out, and this is awesome. This is a huge innovation. He's got multiple sizes for the up bar, and he actually, I believe Wazoos has addressed every issue I had with WASD when it comes to the problems I've had with WASD basically is that on WASD they are dedicated keys, so they're kind of deep. You press them and you can slide across them, but the main thing I had is actually how dedicated the up is with your middle finger is dedicated to both up and down. And for most games that's not an issue. For Virtua Fighter it can be very cumbersome actually. And so that's why I personally was not crazy about WASD in Virtua Fighter. But there are players who do use WASD on Virtua Fighter. Dalmog, Danger Leon, he uses WASD. He likes using, I believe he's used both Cardi mod as well as Odin. And I think the newer Odins are pretty awesome. I think they're similar to these where there's like a flatter profile on the keys. And so I think that's a huge innovation in the WASD format, is to provide a flatter buttons, still with good give, but you want something that allows you to slide and use different techniques when you use the WASD. And I think this is a game changer. But I think this wide bar on top, but it can't simply just be a wide bar on top. The Wazoos has made sure that wide space bar like thing is not going to have problems when you're touching it at weird angles. Because that's a big issue as well. He's allowing more technique to happen with this, allowing you to use any of your 3 primary fingers for a WASD to be working with that. And so this makes the WASD Pro becomes much more versatile than the classic WASD, and I think that's a big innovation. I think that alone makes this very exciting actually, and makes WASD actually interesting to try for your gaming needs. So that. But yeah, we're looking at just how gorgeous this is. There's going to be an option to have a side plate that's a handle and a side plate that's just flat. I do think a handle is warranted. I think the build is amazing. So here, really impressive. This thing is built for performance, but it is built as small as it possibly can while being built for performance. So this thing is going to be a lower profile than the Versus case and the VM6 for sure, but there isn't really any compromise. The performance is all there. He doesn't want to go smaller than this because he believes you're going to sacrifice performance by going any smaller than this, but this is about as small and sleek as he could make it within what was required. So yeah, here we go. We love these plates here for the thumb button. I love it. The thumb button is you're gonna be able to move where that thumb button is, whether it's very high up, very neutral, or a little bit lower. Then you have this button on the bottom, the silver button, that is basically a toggle between whether you're using a more hitbox like layout, though this is a totally unique layout to Arcade Stick Indonesia. It's not a classic hitbox layout at all. So there's no confusion there. This is pretty much an original all button layout that has got good spacing for fingers and even room for extra buttons for you to do how you need those to be. But you get to toggle between that and the WASD. The WASD is an iris. You can customize the angle, which is amazing. That is existing on the Cardi mod and on the WASD, the iris WASD, that you can use on versus case or the VM6. So you have that. This is fantastic. Now this one, of course, is all 24 millimeter. But he is experimenting right now with 30 millimeter and 24 millimeter. I can't wait to try this, to give it a try at Evo Japan. So I'm really excited for this. On the bottom right here, you can see these functional keys on the bottom right. Now there is a button on the left, so I think you've got like probably your start button on the bottom left. But you have you know, probably like your home and touchpad on the bottom right or something similar to that. Let's see. It just looks so clean. This is the black, of course. Looks very, very, very clean. Let's see here. This is a versus case. And but I think Wasus has really outdone himself with this. Really completely thrown the whole company at what can they do to make an ultimate all-button controller. And now this is an experiment where they're experimenting with the idea of 24 millimeters for most buttons, but the top row of your action buttons are going to be 30 millimeter. This would be weird for me for Virtua Fighter, but I think this could be very amazing for a lot of other games though. I think this will be very interesting for especially anime fighters, air dashers. I think would be pretty awesome. But Street Fighter as well, you know, maybe even Tekken, you know. But for Virtua Fighter, it is weird just because your thumb is going to go on what is usually called K1 or like light kick on Street Fighter. Like on Virtua Fighter, typically our thumb goes there, so that's why it's a little weird for a Virtua Fighter player. But that doesn't make it bad. It's just something you don't know until you try. So again, you can see those views on this. It's looking so good. These parts are just fantastic. These wow. So the white gold model is just looking gorgeous because of how high quality the metal is. So this thing has got a metal exterior on the edge, on the borders. You can see it better here. Now you can see this using the classic thumbs up. This is the classic thumbs up, which is a spacebar that you can rotate to meet your angle, just like you can make the WASD at the angle you like. So he's using a classic WASD here. This is not even the WASD Pro. This is a classic WASD with thumbs up. And it's looking really good. He's showing how clean the inputs are in the different modes mainly. Now, we're going to get to some really interesting stuff soon. But look, this is what Golden Lever is going to be bringing this to Evo Japan, and I'm excited to take a look at it. But I think the Tekken community, which doesn't really look at all button controllers as much, and WASD, though they have had players that do it and show how high performance they can be, I think this is going to be a very compelling test at Evo Japan. I think there's going to be a lot of players that are really thinking about that, never saw themselves using an all button controller and are now really thinking about it, but especially after this video came out, right, where he's showing using insanely hard technique with Heihachi, and yet doing it with just two fingers, one finger for the actions and another for the movement, simply by using the new WASD Pro's slickness, low profile, but sensitivity, and that wide up bar also having a factor in for the evades, but also making it easier to access it. So this is just really great stuff, and I think this video alone had generated a lot of interest, so we're gonna see what happens. This is a better, closer look at the WAS-D Pro, right? This is probably the most exciting part of this whole thing, despite how gorgeous this controller looks. But he says this is the secret: the stabilizer keeps it balanced even when you press on the very side, so you're not going to get like that horrible feeling when you push a button at the wrong angle and it's stuck. It resists you. He's made it a stable experience, and so you can easily press it knowing it's going to work, and you can slide, you can use different techniques. This is a big deal. This is going to be great. I really am confident in that, and I think this part especially sells it. But actually, how gorgeous the VB is, the versus buttons is really also what really is going to get a lot of people to buy it. So I do plan to pick one of these up. I think this is going to be amazing. I can't wait to try it out myself and see what I can do. And he does want to know what the Virtua Fighter players think of it. I know it's going to be harder to get Virtua Fighter players to start trying it in Japan, but I think some of the Westerners will want to try it. I think Genesis Frenzy will definitely want to try it, and I think Grandpa Zeki really wants to try it. This is just something awesome. Let's go back to Arcade Stick Indonesia to see some of their posts, and let's see. Yeah, again, we go back to this video, right? And he's just showing how clean the inputs are. Like, that's how clean it comes out. Doing that. So, wow, that is a very gorgeous Versus case with full art. This is, I'm bringing a golden lever, but when I went to New York, I brought this. And it's awesome. Versus case, of course. Yeah, so definitely check out. There is an actual review video with the VB. So definitely check it out. I've linked to it on my community tab and on YouTube channel. So we saw that video as well. Yeah, this is just really wonderful. My gosh, this thing is gorgeous. Look at how gorgeous those are. Yeah, that's the one. This is the one. And it's still in prototype. It is not. It is still in prototype. Yeah. So as we saw before, 30 and 24 combined. This is how it looks with the hands there, and then of course with the small buttons as well. So yeah, I think this is a hot product to watch, and I'm excited for it, and I hope you are too. And I think Wasus has really outdone himself with this. I still want more golden lever stuff, but to be honest, there's a lot of players now that have opened up to all buttons, and that's a wonderful thing. We're in a very interesting era, so this is going to be a lot of fun. Everyone, you have a good one. Cheers, and thanks for exploring this with me. It's going to be good, and I'll let you guys know what I think. However, I'm not the best opinion on all button controllers, but I'll definitely let you know what I think of it. But I'm very excited for this. Cheers, and have a good one.